All right, so hopefully everybody can hear me and see my screen. Welcome to the Friday evening update. It's been one heck of a day in the markets. Prices of Bitcoin currently at 35,900 and some change. It looks like BTC has had this aggressive sell pressure that has been continuously been driving the markets down. And we've had no respite to kind of bounce back up. Some of the key levels that I was looking to hold was on the weekly basis, we had $38,200. Now, obviously, I think we can still technically bounce back up and close above this level because we have 2 days to go till the weekly close. Okay, so this is the key weekly level that I have on my mind. And then on the daily basis, I had this other level that I was watching, which was 37,250, which I also think we have an hour and 4 minutes left in the daily candle close. I think we can actually close above this level. If we don't, I think that's, well, it is what it is. This thing is probably going to have another bit of a sell-off. But here's what I'm thinking headed into the tail end of this week, right? It's Friday. So obviously US markets are closed. Futures will probably get closed soon and they will not open back up until Sunday evening. I believe that today and yesterday were pretty brutal days in the market. And what that signifies to me is that we had a lot of sell pressure get sold in the market, and a lot of people really got torched in their positions. And that has got me thinking that in the near term, headed into the weekend, I think the probabilities are high that we are aggressively oversold. A lot of people probably shorted the bottom, and it's quite possible that BTC produces somewhat of a movement back up. Maybe even if it's this midpoint between 42 and 37,250. So that midpoint is around like 39,000, right? I know it doesn't sound like much, but technically from where we are to this point right here, it's probably like 3-4%, and that's quite a bit. So I think at this point, headed into the weekend, it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to start longing. It just means that you don't really want to start shorting now. If you short now, you're going to have a very ugly time probability wise. Yeah, we can drop lower, but let's be real. Like BTC already dropped 12 or 13% today. Most of the alts dropped 10, 12, 15, 20% in many cases. So if you're shorting now, like, what are you waiting for? Or rather, why didn't you short, a while back? If you're shorting now, you would effectively be selling literally or shorting literally the very, bottom after a very big volatile movement. So the probabilities are stacked against you. Now, we on the advantage side took this short position on Luna at 77.5. Some people sized up even more than this. I decided to keep my size down. But in the 5K count, this is how we've basically, traded all through last year and even this year, which is keeping relatively small positions in the levered side. And we don't really take on that many shorts, to be completely honest, because our fundamental belief in alpha trades is that we are in a secular bull market within the US stock market as well as crypto. And so all fundamental movements that you're seeing on the way down should be hedges, should be short-lived short positions, right? You're not looking to short BTC from 35K to like 5,000. Like that's not the gameplay here, okay? Same thing with any of these assets, right? They may go down 70, 80, 90%, but our intention is not to short them that long. Our intention is really to catch them in the middle, right? We just want to, so if Luna, let's just say this is the top of Luna, and let's just say, late last year, right? Or middle of last year, this was the low. Well, we don't mind shorting here. And let's just say, I don't know, even closing at 50 or 40 or, 25 or 30, right? We're not looking to short Luna all the way back down to $4. Okay. So you got to keep this in mind because what it helps you understand is crypto as a whole is a very innovative asset class. And more importantly, crypto is also an asset class that is heavily levered. meaning you're going to have many, many times where BTC and many of these assets will go up multitudes, in terms of percentages higher, and then still just nuke all the way back down several days or several weeks later, which would be technically, classified as a short squeeze, or really just a, moment of seeking liquidity, right? So let's just say, for example, Luna has very oversold levels right here. It is entirely possible for Luna to get all the way up here, okay? Get all the way up here and then collapse back down. It has happened many times, not only in crypto, but in the stock market. A perfect example, even near term, is something like this, right? Polkadot, which I've pointed out before, I believe Polkadot is probably headed down, much further, in my opinion. But near term, here's kind of what happened with Polkadot, right? If you look on the daily chart, the previous high back in May was around $49, $50. Polkadot exceeded that, then came back down inside, and now it's at $20, okay? These are not impossible movements for many crypto assets, because one thing that a lot of crypto is very much tied to is big private equity firms, big VCs, and they have the ability to sort of pay, market makers and these big fund managers and whatnot to kind of level up the price and keep the price in particular ranges to really push the market cap up. It's a game that many companies actually do play. And so it's not impossible for a lot of these assets to actually go beyond whatever you think is technically possible to start a bull market or start a bear market. They could just have squeezes and traps that are laid out, in which case, many retail people get caught. And then, unfortunately, they switch up their positioning and then the market does completely opposite of what they think the market should do. So be aware of that, be cognizant of things like that, because, this is going to be a very tricky game for the next several months ahead. As we head into next week, the FOMC meeting is coming up Wednesday. Okay, so this is going to be, a meeting, a 2-day long meeting rather, Tuesday and Wednesday. And what I find interesting about that is ahead of the meeting, right, we're having a pretty nasty nuke in the markets. Like, crypto is down significantly. BTC is down 16% on the week. Okay, that's quite a bit, even for BTC. Many assets like Atom, is down about 23%. FTM is down about 30%. Luna is down 26%. So even the top tier assets, like the ones I just listed, or even One Harmony, these are all down 25, 30, 38%. And this is technically one of those signs where you should start to understand, is the positioning in the market really telling you that you want to outright start shorting? Or is it telling you that maybe temporarily the selling is done or close to being done? And as we head into the next week ahead, you may not want to be heavy short. If you do want to be heavy short, well, what are your expectations? Like, are you waiting for another 20, 30, 40% drop in the market, like right away? Are you looking for a slow, dragged out bleed over the next coming months? So these are the important questions you're going to have to ask yourself. Now, obviously, we in the Advantage side, like I said, we know very well how we're going to handle this Luna position. Okay, I will let my Advantage members know exactly how we're going to go about playing this. But for those of you who are watching this, whether it's on YouTube or on the free side, really just ask yourself, what is the game plan? What are you planning on doing, for the coming weekend or the next few weeks ahead? Other themes that I'm starting to recognize in the market, if you actually look at Real Vision, one of the leading sort of finance discussion platforms, or even Blockworks, they've had many interviews over the past, I would say, week or two. And I think one of the common themes that I'm starting to recognize is that everybody is starting to realize that this whole Fed fueled rally that we had, right? All that liquidity that was coming into the system, it seems like that whole quote unquote bubble is now popping. If that bubble is popping and that liquidity is being pulled, well, then a lot of these assets should start returning back to much lower prices. So if we do a simple analysis, right? So let's just say the Fed, overall liquidity started when the COVID crash happened, right? And then the Fed liquidity ended basically around November time, which is when the Fed announced they were going to hike interest rates, they were going to reduce their balance sheets, right? So if that's the case, then how do we look at, say, a retracement factor through all this? Well, currently we're sitting at the 50% marker between March 2020, which is when that Fed fueled inflation rally or asset bubble started to develop, and that started to pop in November. So if that's starting to pop from a retracement Fibonacci standpoint, where could that end us up towards from a price standpoint? Well, we're already at a 50% retracement. If we're going to head down further, a 61.8% retracement is around $28,000. I also have this ascending channel, which is where we actually traversed from May all the way up until October 2020 before we broke out of it. I actually believe that this channel is going to be particularly important in this coming 2022 year. And more importantly, if you actually look at the 200 weekly EMA, remember this 200 weekly EMA has been the EMA that has helped us all through 2014 and 15. Let me show you guys real quick. Here's the weekly EMA in 2015 back here, right? Multiple points of support, price pushes up, again, kind of, breaks back inside the 200 weekly EMA in 2018 and 19, reclaims that, pushes off, starts a mini bull market in 2019. Once again, we had the March COVID crash. We break right below the 200 weekly EMA, but once we reclaim it, we take off. So if that is to be the case, well, where is the 200 weekly EMA? That's currently around $25,000, right? And if that's $25,000, well, here's where BTC is in respect to my channel right here, right around that same area. So in the coming few weeks, if we do decide to break down, keep an eye on the 200 weekly EMA, keep an eye on this Fibonacci retracement area, which is around 28,000 or so, and then keep an eye on this ascending channel that I drew. Any questions so far? Okay, so like I said, I do think that temporarily things do look quite grim, and I don't really like it when on a Friday this is the kind of movement that happens. To be fair though, this candle right here, that actually happened on a Saturday. So, I'm not trying to get too excited about that because this could be Friday and then Saturday could be like that. So I don't quite know if I want to be a buyer here. Like I said, the probabilities are, in my opinion, high that we have a temporary relief bounce just because we had such an aggressively oversold day. And, again, not only in crypto, but Google, right? Obviously one of the biggest, well-capitalized tech companies was actually down on the day, like pretty big. You could kind of see this topping pattern happen on Google. AMD, which is another very advanced semiconductor chip company, pretty, bigly down on the day, the big down on, past couple of days. Microsoft, okay, same thing, right? Pretty big sell-off right at the tail end of the day. And then if we look at, NASDAQ as an index, down pretty big, breaking, this is the 200 daily moving average. It's actually broken through that moving average, okay? Last time it broke through that moving average, we had this big, capitulation sell-off like we had in March when we had a COVID crash, okay? I don't think we're gonna have anything like that here, but just something to pay attention to, okay? S&P 500, same thing, right? Breaching that 200-day moving average. So you can kind of see that there are many things lining up from a crypto standpoint that should make you really rethink, your thesis of, overall just being aggressively bullish headed into the weekend. Altcoins wise, there's some levels that I watched and laid out for the Advantage members. One Harmony, this is really the key level that we should be bouncing from. Okay, I mean, this is 0.22. We got to bounce here. And if we bounce here, then I'm expecting somewhat of a mean reversion, maybe back towards like 2.6, 2.8, this little pocket range right here. If it doesn't happen, it is what it is. Maybe the sell pressure is just really strong. But like I said, if you're looking for mean reversions, keep an eye on One Harmony, FTM, even Curve, right? I mean, I think Curve has been one of the stronger altcoins over the past several months. Atom is another one. Matic is another one. All these altcoins have actually hit some of the key support levels that I've laid out. And if they don't bounce here, then you kind of know like, okay, well, the market is just really, really weak and we're about to see a pretty brutal, week ahead, possibly. All right, let me see here. Lots of good stuff on my Twitter feed. Make sure you guys check it out. I always post good alpha, even for free members who are following me on Twitter. So make sure you follow me. All right. Let me see here. Can I take a look at ETH? Yes, I will look at ETH. I will take a look at AVAX and Solana as well. Let me see here. I have notices when Bitcoin goes through this big downtrend, it's the opportunity for the top 20 rankings to change meaning, smaller trending, fast user base growing assets that are going to claim the top 20 spots. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, that's possible. What are your thoughts? I remember EOS was top 10 at one point, way before Solana and Luna. Yeah, so I totally agree, actually. And I'm glad you asked that, Marco, because one of my fundamental beliefs is that crypto generally has narratives that come up and like it goes through these waves of thesis, right? And thesis for 2021 was like L1s, right? I mean, everybody was talking about L1 ecosystem. 2020, even early 2021 was about like yield farming, right? Like we saw things like Ampleforth and Pancake Swap and Cake Swap and all this stuff. Those were all the big themes. But in 2021, things got a little bit accelerated in a different manner. Solana was coming up as a very emerging ecosystem. Polkadot, Luna, AVAX. We also had the meme coin phase, which was Shiba Inu, and then Dogecoin, right? So you could kind of see 2021 was a very weird year, but I think we're going to probably leave that behind, and the market's going to clear up a lot of this market cap from a lot of these assets. And the interesting thing is, I actually think that 2022 is going to not only clean up the market cap from these assets, but rotate it into some emerging strong value products. One of my picks for 2022 are things like Curve Finance, just because they're very well capitalized assets, right? So if you actually go to DeFi Llama right here, okay, you can see Curve Finance has a $21.1 billion total value locked, right? Market cap to TVL is 0.06, meaning this is not a bloated and inflated asset, right? So for example, like if the market cap to TVL was, I don't know, it was something much higher, right? Let's just say Frax, okay, that's very, very high because Frax price, okay, which I don't know what it is, compared to its total value locked is incredibly high, right? Even HBTC, I don't even know what this is, but that's really high. It's above 1.0. But look at Curve Finance. That means what it's saying is the market cap for this asset, which is Curve, is very, very low compared to the amount of actual value that it retains, which is the TVL. Now, I'm not a big believer in total value lock being like the end all be all of metrics, but it's a meaningful metric to recognize that a lot of money is parked in these protocols and people clearly trust Curve Finance. and the token itself is not extremely overpriced. So things like Curve Finance, Convex, which actually owns a lot of Curve Finance, Lido. Let me see here. Yeah, so these assets up here, I think are particularly very well capitalized assets. So something that you should be paying attention to in 2022. Okay. I also have a newsletter which I put out. That's like my 2022 predictions newsletter. Let me see where I can find it here. I put this out like a while back. Let me see if I can pull it up. This was, I think it had some pretty good picks in there. I think you guys will like it a lot because, it talked about all my overall, overarching thesis that is going to come up in 2022. And it's not, all like, oh, well, Solana is going to go up another 10x, right? It's like not as simple as that. There's very sort of complex things in here that I talk about. 2022 is also going to be a tough year. It's going to be a very choppy year. You also want to be focusing on GameFi and metaverse tokens. I did a video on this as well. Which games I'm paying attention to, which tokens I'm paying attention to. You can see Curve Finance is in my list. I also talk about, One Harmony and Near Protocol. Remember, these assets are not bloated, right? Meaning market cap wise, that like they're still very, very small. Compared to Solana or Cardano, $35 and $36 billion, right? Terra Luna, 22 billion. But if you look at Near Protocol, Near is only 8.2 billion. I think it's still pretty high. So I'll say that. But, for Near, like it can go down another, 20, 30%. But then after that, it can easily double or triple from there. And market cap wise, it won't still be that big. Same thing with One Harmony. Right, Harmony right now is a $2.4 billion asset class, okay, ecosystem rather. It can easily go down another 20, 30, 40%, but then from there, it can quickly double, triple, quadruple from there because the market cap will be that much smaller, okay? So you always got to keep in mind market cap relative to price, relative to actual, value that these ecosystems withhold. Okay, Helium, by the way, is another one that I listed. If you read my predictions newsletter, or is it predictions? I think Helium is in here too. Yeah, there you go, Helium. Okay, so make sure you check this out. Predictions newsletter. You can find it on my Alpha Trades Substack. I think my newsletter itself is actually called In the Money. So make sure you check it out. Hit subscribe. I'll be dropping more alpha by the end of this month. Okay. Alrighty. Let me see here. So a couple other things. Let me take a look at ETH, AVAX, Solana. Okay. So ETH real quick. Okay. So I've laid out some levels for ETH, a little while back, right? If y'all remember, I think on a weekly basis, 2650 was my key level that I was watching. So here's 2650. So once again, right, just like BTC, we're hammering right into key weekly levels. This is really ideally where you should start seeing a bounce. And I particularly believe that you might start seeing a bounce here. Again, same thing with BTC, many other altcoins. I think they're pretty aggressively oversold, by today. So maybe you might get some relief headed into the weekend. But again, it doesn't necessarily mean you want to start going long and start worrying about this crap dropping further into the weekend. It's also okay to just really not do anything. But from a weekly standpoint, this is where you should be seeing a bounce. Okay, probability wise, this is it. Beyond that, then it's just like 2000, $1950, $2,000 area. This is really where a lot of volume took place. And I think if we put on the VPVR, let me turn that one off down there. Let's see, right? So you can see pretty high volume taking place right in this particular area. And then below that, of course, you have $355, but like that doesn't make any sense, given that ETH is like at $2,500. I'm not going to worry about crap down here. I'm just going to worry about what do we have, for price action in the near term, like prices that are attainable in the next few weeks. And I think attainable prices, I think $1,800, $1,900, that's more than attainable. Okay, given that ETH is already at 25.75. All right. Okay, so AVAX. Okay, so let's go to the daily on AVAX because actually, let me pull up an AVAX chart from here. This is a better chart. Okay, so AVAX broke through $80 in a very high volume, convincing manner, as you can see, right? It also hit, actually it didn't hit 60, but 60 is my next key level, okay? So keep an eye on price, breaking down and hitting $60. If it does, then I think near term, this is probably the bottom, okay, around 60. By bottom, I don't mean like that. By bottom, I mean, okay, well, maybe it develops something like this. And then after that, either it dies like further, or, who knows, maybe by March or April, we start a new rally in things like AVAX and ETH and Solana and One Harmony and stuff like that. Okay, but volume wise, pretty bad breakthrough, lots of sellers coming in, not a good sign. And then finally, Solana, I've been watching this Solana channel for a while. Okay, this thing has been continuously bleeding through the channel. Now it's finally broken through the channel. So this is an even further significant, bearish sign. But now on the daily basis, right? Daily basis, Solana also at a pretty clear area where this is more than likely a potential bottom, right? Probability wise, like this is an area where you should be bouncing. Same thing with the other altcoins I spoke about, right? Matic has a 170s level that I mentioned to my Advantage members yesterday. I told y'all about Curve, which is the bottom of this channel right here, right? Somewhere around 350s, okay? So a lot of these assets have gotten very, very oversold. Now with Solana, one of my big sort of, contrarian trades is that I think Solana itself very much outpaced price and market cap very quickly. I think a lot of that is going to get retraced. And my belief is that Solana is going to come back home somewhere between $80 and $70, quite possibly the $50 to $40 as well. But like I said, here you might start seeing some, big rangy movements like this. Just because the market itself is not ready to break down yet. You might see several weeks of distribution in this area. All right. So keep that in mind. Things aren't just going to go down straight down forever. Yeah, gaming and NFTs I mentioned. So just the other day, I also mentioned Looks Rare, which is this asset right here. So make sure you pay attention to Looks Rare. So this particular asset, I'm very much interested in just because, the tokenomics on it are pretty good. And what I mean by that is there's actually not that much of a sell pressure in the market from this, this asset. A lot of people are actually staking it. They are getting a lot of emissions, but I don't think people are directly dumping their emission tokens. They're actually restaking these emission tokens and hoping to make more and more money. Just because the NFT market has been, extremely hot, right? Even with whatever is going on in crypto, NFT market is doing relatively well. So Looks Rare is a NFT, platform token. So something y'all should definitely keep your eye on. All right, last question, then I'm out. Harry says he's still holding his short from 52K. Oh, fantastic. Yeah, this is one thing that I do want to mention is Harry developed these indicators right here, trend maker and the swing indicator, as well as this one down here, okay, which is we call the shepherd. Now these indicators I often use with confluence of what's happening within the market, and they are spot on when it comes to recognizing shift in momentum, possible areas of support, possible areas of resistance. You can actually find these on our website. There's a link below that you'll see if you're watching this on YouTube. You can buy these indicators on a yearly basis, which we have a very solid deal, a very big discount deal for. And then you can also buy it on a monthly recurring basis if you want to use these. But anyway, Harry caught the short at 52K. So let's check that out, right? From an indicator standpoint, like how does that look? Okay, so this is what Harry's talking about. Okay, so what he's saying is, hey, price from the indicator standpoint gave us a swing bear signal, as you can see right there. Price bounced up, failed to break above this key level, which is our customized sort of moving average level, and it rejected and broke down further and further. Now I'm assuming Harry's probably going to start taking profit in this area, just because this is a key supporting moving average key level, right? But imagine getting a short in here because of our indicator and closing it out here. That's almost 25-30% move, I think, if I'm not mistaken, right? How much of a move is that? Yeah, almost like 26%. So that's pretty damn solid. So Harry has built a fantastic set of indicators. I often talk about these as something that I use in Confluence with my own analysis. If you guys have the chance to use these in the Advantage community, please do. We can give you guys a free trial if you are paying members. Okay, so just message me or message Harry and we can get those to you. All right, perfect. Well, that's all I got for y'all. Really, interesting day in the markets as we're heading into the weekend. I hope today's analysis was helpful. Like I said, decently high chances that we're hitting a temporary bottom. Headed into the weekend, it's also okay if you don't want to put on any positions, if you want to cut your shorts, if you want to go long, just make sure you manage your risk, make sure you manage your position size. Okay. All right. That's all I got. If you're watching this on YouTube, please do hit the thumbs up. Make sure you join our Discord channel. The link is below. Take care, everybody. Have a great rest of your weekend. Good luck to you, and we'll talk soon.